Om Ajnanatirmirandhasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshuranmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Chalayasi Vikramane Balamadbhuta Vamana Padanaka Nira Janita Janapavana Keshavadhrita Vamana Rupa Jaya Jagadisha Hare Jaya Jagadisha Hare Jaya Jagadisha Hare. How many of you are not familiar with the Leela of Lord Vamana Dev, or the most famous Leela of his taking the universe away from Bali Maharaj? Who's not familiar with this? Everyone knows this story, more or less?
I'm sorry, could you repeat that?
No, not necessary for you.
You're going to turn up the mic.
In the 10 incarnations who are listed by Jayadev Goswami, Lord Vamana is 5th. It's in chronological order over the vast expanse of time. Srila... Yeah, I didn't finish that sentence, yeah. So he's the 5th, and Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati has compared the avatars, the order that they come, with the Darwinian evolutionary theory. So first there's Kurma, the fish, life in water. Sorry, Matsya the fish. Then Kurma, he's the tortoise, Kachapa avatar. Then Varahadev. So these are all animal and amphibian forms, and then we have the half man, half lion form. Very fierce, the fiercest of all. Well, Parashuram's also very fierce. Then, in the language or the particular word used by Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, the mannequin, little man, is a dwarf. Vamana literally means dwarf. Then violent man, Parashuram. Then Ramachandra Bhagavan, also violent but more restrained. Well, Parashuram is from the Brahmin caste and Ramachandra is from the Kshatriya caste. Violent but moral in his violence. Only when required. Whereas Parashuram, he lost his temper rather seriously. That wasn't in Kali Yuga. In Kali Yuga it's very bad. There's so many demons. But Parashuram was active, killing the whole race of Kshatriyas 21 times. That was prior to Kali. That must have been, when was that? Which yuga was that? Because Ram came in Treta, maybe in Satya Yuga. Then, who's next? Good question. No, not Buddha. Well, it depends who you are. Because the Madhvas, they don't accept Balaram as an name. So some say Krishna and some say Balaram, and in Jagannath Puri you'll see the Dash avatars. Jagannath the next. So some say Krishna, some say Balaram. We have Balaram. Then, so he's, what shall we say? We have small man, violent man, moral man, and then Krishna is the happy man. And then Buddha, the wise man, is next. And then Kalki just destroys everything, and it's time to start all over again. So Vamana, he came shortly after Narasimha. And Narasimha came to kill, Varaha, Narasimha, Vamana, they all came within short time of each other, because Varaha killed Hiranyaksha, who was the younger brother of Hiranyakashipu, having appeared as the twin brother of Hiranyakashipu before him. He's younger. Different understanding to the Western understanding. The one who came out first in the Western understanding would be the first. But the one whose embryo was formed by insemination first and was therefore at the back of the womb and came out second is Hiranyakashipu. So we have very clear understanding in the Vedic knowledge of the progression of life. It doesn't begin. When does life begin? Well, when does life in the in a particular body begin?
At conception.
At conception, yeah, that's the Vedic version. Although in the modern law system they put some arbitrary date. What is it?
Third trimester, 7 months.
After 7 months.
When the child can live outside the womb.
With a support system.
Living outside the womb.
I see. That's their way of defining.
Up until then, it's fetal tissue.
I see. Up until then, it's potential cosmetics. Yeah. So then, Varaha killed Hiranyaksha. Narasimhadev famously killed Hiranyakashipu. Very famous leela. Of all the leelas that are famous in this world, those of Rama and Krishna are most famous in India, and that of Narasimha third. And in Andhra Pradesh, very well known, Narasimha. There are many people with the name Narasimha in Andhra Pradesh. In fact, even one of the last prime ministers, he's still alive. I never heard he died. He did. He died, huh? P.V. Narasimha Rao. So, the Leela of Narasimha is well known. Maybe Vamanadev not so much. He came shortly after Hiranyakashipu, because the grandson of Hiranyakashipu was Bali Maharaj. Sorry, great-grandson. Prahlad was one of the sons of Hiranyakashipu, famously. One of the sons, not the only son. And his son, Prahlad was a great, as you know, Hiranyakashipu was a great demon. Prahlad was a great devotee. The son of Prahlad, Virochana, was a demon. And the son of Virochana, Bali, was born in a demon family but a great devotee. So the idea is that the mentality of the son tends to follow that of the mother. So, in that case, that of the grandson would tend to follow that of the paternal grandfather. So Bali Maharaj was a great devotee due to his association with Prahlad Maharaj. And he did his duty as the king of the demons. He attacked the demigods. That's what the demons do. That's how they pass their time. They have very nice, materially, very good facilities, even better than that of the demigods, in the Billa Swarga, heaven in a hole. That literally means heaven in a hole. And underneath the earth is the abode of the demons, which is suitable for material enjoyment. Nevertheless, the demons always live in fear, even though they have such facilities for enjoyment. Just like in America nowadays, people have facility for material enjoyment, not nearly as much as in heavenly planets, but they're always afraid due to the fear of those damn Muslims. Well, they don't really seem to do that much, but there's the fear is in the air that they can come and kill you at any time. So it's an example. So the demons are always afraid of Sudarshan Chakra coming and washing off their heads. So, because they're demons, they attack the demigods. They have no real need to do so, but they do so anyway, because that's the nature of the material world. Even if there's no need to, even if people don't have enemies or no cause for enmity, they make enmity anyway. Especially the demons. They have no need to. They have everything they need for their material enjoyment, but they just feel the need to have an enemy. Just like you see in the modern Western world, it's probably the same here. I'm giving an example from good old England, where, as I've several times said, this body was born in. So there are sports teams, and the supporters of the sports team hates those of the rival sports team. Do you have that here in America also?
Oh.
The local, like if there's two local teams in one city or something.
Nothing like in England.
Not in England, where they...
Oh, it depends on where you are. Boston and New York, they have gunfights over it.
Yeah, they hate each other.
Oh.
There's no real reason to do so. Yeah?
In New England, Boston Red Sox hates New York Yankees, and whole city hates New York Yankees.
That means they probably hate New Yorkers in general. The people, Boston.
Oh, and you have Chicago, you have the White Sox and...
Okay, we don't have a fight here now.
Oh, Maharaj, you have in Los Angeles, USC and UCLA, two colleges.
And they hate each other.
40-year rivalry.
I see. Only 40 years. I'll tell you a funny story about Varaha Dev and Krishna. You have to. Well, I'll have to give you a little background on the culture of Liverpool, which is a famous city in England, known for the Beatles, and in Europe, Liverpool Football Club, a very famous football club in England. They play in a red strip, and the rival team, it's also a big team, big club, they play in a blue strip. This is soccer. So a devotee was distributing books in Liverpool, in the city, and he gave a Krishna book to a man, and the man said, I kind of like Krishna, but I have a problem with Krishna. I got something against him. I said, well, what's the problem? He said, you see, I've been a Liverpool fan since the age of 5, and Krishna's blue. So then the devotee explained that, well, actually he has other incarnations. Varaha's red, and so you can take and he took the book.
Yeah.
Quick thinking devotee. It's a long way away from the sages of Naimisharanya. So anyway, George Harrison's from Liverpool also, and actually people in Liverpool, they like devotees very much, probably because of the Beatles' connection with George Harrison. So anyway, Varaha Dev, Varaha, Narasimha, then Vamana. Narasimha is very beautiful, but not in the way that most people would think. Varaha is also very beautiful. Matsya is very beautiful, but not in the way that most people would think is very beautiful. That's one of the... Who is that? Varaha Dev, when he came, Bhumi Dev wanted to be his wife, but he said, well, this form isn't so suitable for romance, you see. So then she came again in Krishna Lila. As, you don't say. Anyone else? Bhu Shakti is?
Kubja, Satyabhama.
Actually, yeah, Kubja is that form, but particularly as the wife, as Satyabhama.
Oh.
Yeah. Kubja also represents the earth who was pressed down by feeling the weight of the demons, and then Krishna lifted her up and restored her to her beauty. So, Vamana Dev is the first of the forms who we would recognize as beautiful, very sweet pastime of cheating Bali Maharaj. The pastimes that the Lord shares with his devotees, they're particularly sweet if they are back to front or not understandable to normal people. They appear to be, if they're contrary, a hariva. What is that? A hariva? Premna? Well, I forgot one word. A hariva gatiya premna. This is the prem or love moves in the way of a snake. Like this. Not, of course, we hear you saying about Kunti, saying that may my love for you, Krishna, flow like the Ganga toward the sea, rushing in huge quantities. The Ganga, if you go to India, you'll see the Ganga. She flows so fast, right from the Himalayas all the way down to the sea. That in a very fast flowing river, and lots of water. But once I was in Bihar, which is shortly before the Ganga forks. She goes into East Bengal, and then the main flow used to go into East Bengal before they dammed it. But still, the river, which is called Ganga, comes with less flow, turns right and goes, because she was flowing. Her natural direction is that way, but then she turned because she wanted to go to Navadvip, and she comes down through Navadvip and out at Ganga Sagar. So a lot of water. Yeah, once I was in Bihar in the monsoon, toward the end of the monsoon season. So Ganga becomes so wide, like it must have been more than a kilometer wide. So she becomes so much. So Kunti is praying for her love like that. But, that's the mood of love, but the actual workings of love are very crooked. So, we find that the gopis, they also revealed, or they exposed Krishna. When they said, we've heard about you from Purnamasi, she told us all about you. It's not just in this life that you're cheating us, but you're so crooked that in every life you mistreat women. You see, this Shurpanaka, she came to you. It was a valid request that for a woman to approach a Kshatriya especially, and with a romantic way, is a valid request, but you were so cruel you had her nose cut off. And even before that, Bali Maharaj, he didn't do anything wrong. I mean, as a Kshatriya, you can attack another kingdom and overtake it. But instead of fighting with him, as you should have, he was Upendra, there's also Vamana, he's born in the family of Indra, so he's also a Kshatriya, the younger brother of Indra. So instead of fighting with him properly, if you wanted to take the kingdom of Daitya Raj Bali, you should have fought with him, but instead you just cheated him. So this is your way of dealing. What can we expect from such a person like you? Kritiva yoshita, you're simply cheating, especially the women. So, the Vaman Dev came in a very sweet leela, which only he and Bali Maharaj could appreciate. Everyone, and of course the demigods appreciated, but for a different reason. They wanted their kingdom back. But they couldn't appreciate the loving affair or the loving dealings that was going on between Bali Maharaj and Vamana Dev. Vamana Dev was doing his duty as a good demon. He led the demons in their attack on the heavenly planets and took over the heavenly planets. And then to consolidate his position, Vamana Dev performed sacrifices. The Indra Dev is known as Shatakratu, one who performed 100 sacrifice, 100 horse sacrifices, by that's supposed to make that'll get you to the heavenly planets or make you very strong. But because Indra had offended his guru, whereas Bali had faithfully served his guru, so Indra had become weak and Bali had become strong. But now Bali was in the position, always the demons want to take over the heavenly planets, but generally they can't. They can't do it. But on this occasion, because of Indra's offense to his guru, the demigods had become weak, and therefore the demons are able to do so, to take over the heavenly planets. So Shukracharya, the guru of the demons, advised Bali Maharaj to perform sacrifices. That gives you strength in your position, gives you more punya or piety, pious reserves by which one can remain in one's position. So Bali Maharaj came, is on the bank of the Narmada in the heavenly planets, to the place where Bali Maharaj was performing sacrifices. That place is known, where the sacrifice was being performed, is called Bhrigukach, which there's also the Bhrigukach, the facsimile of that, you can say, on this planet, in this world, which is in modern times known as Bharuch, which is a fairly large town. I guess it's 3 lakhs? Something like that? I'd estimate. 300,000 people. It's a moderately sized town. On the bank of the Narmada in Gujarat state, where the Hindus there, at least they know that this is the place of Vamana Dev, but they don't really know that much. There's a temple on the bank of the Narmada, but not very prominent temple, not very well maintained and like this. I suggested there are devotees there, householder devotees, who live there, very active in preaching and book distribution, that they hold a program on this day. So they should be, maybe they did, because it's Sunday, maybe they did it in the morning, or maybe it's over. The morning means it's already finished in India. Or if they're doing it in the evening, then it should be going on. Let me see.
Tomorrow, 9 o'clock.
No, it's a time when they're doing programs. So. Now it'd be actually about 10 o'clock there now.
9 a.m. Monday morning. 9 p.m.
9 p.m. It's 11 and a half. No, 13 and a half hours.
Sunday night, 9 p.m.
It's just half an hour difference. You add half an hour and...
It's 13 and a half hours. It should be 10 o'clock at night. Anyway, whatever it is. So, let's see if I suggested that they hold a program and invite all the prominent people of the city and let people be Vamana conscious in the place of Vamana Dev. So Vamana Dev, his pastime is very sweet because it's crooked, particularly because it's crooked. Anyway, he's very sweet. He's very beautiful to see. Vamana Dev, one of the particular qualities of Vamana, all the different avatars, they have particular qualities. Of course, Krishna has all qualities of all avatars. He's the source of all avatars. But one of the qualities of Vamana is that he's very beautiful Brahmana boy. So he arrived at the place of Bali Maharaj's sacrifice, and even from a distance it looked like there was another son coming. He was so effulgent with Brahma Teja, although he's the the brother of Indra. He's known as the younger brother of Indra, but he was a Brahmana boy, and he's generally depicted as a brahmachari, young boy, with an umbrella. They're made of cane umbrella. They're not, in the modern age, umbrella means a folding umbrella, but so you'll see that picture of Vamana Dev. And Bali Maharaj felt very happy that, there's such an effulgent Brahmana boy has come to my sacrifice. That's very auspicious. That'll increase the effect so much more. And if he's come, that means he's come begging. He wants something from me. Otherwise, why would he come? What business has he got to come? Must be. The Brahmanas come to sacrifices because that's at the sacrifice. One of the major duties is to give dakshina to Brahmanas, and lavishly that should be given. So Bali Maharaj, he was very happy, and he requested that you take what you want. I can give you whatever you. I've got the whole universe, so you take whatever you want. And Vamana Dev said that, I just take 3 paces of land according to the measurement of my own step. And he's only a dwarf, so there's not very much land. And Bali Maharaj said, you see, you're just a young boy, and you don't really know what's in your self-interest. You see, so you should take some more. It's not really fitting for me. I've got so much to give you, and you came such a long way, and you just want to take 3 tiny little pieces of land. I can give you a whole dweepa, a whole area of a whole massive chunk of the universe. If you want. Whatever. Someone who comes to me, Bali Maharaj said, should never have to come again for charity. They should be fully set up for life. Not that they came to Bali and he gave a little and then you have to go to someone. No, he should be fully set up. But Vamana Dev spoke very philosophically and in a very detached manner that, you shouldn't take more than you need, and it's not good to be greedy, and just take. It's better just to take a little. So there was some parley between them, and eventually it was settled that Vamana would take 3 steps just by the measurement of his own feet. In the meantime, Shukracharya in the background is going crazy because he knows that this is Vishnu. He's our enemy. It's him. If it wasn't for him, those damn demigods would have thrown them. They all ran away, but we'd have done it before. It's always him who's causing all the problems. First of all, he killed Hiranyaksha. He didn't have any business with Hiranyaksha. He was just sitting in the ocean of milk, just lounging around in the ocean of milk, and we weren't disturbing him. And but somehow or other he likes this Indra, and he killed Hiranyaksha. Then he killed Hiranyakashipu. He's the eternal enemy of the demons. So Shukracharya wasn't happy at all. He said, "This is Vishnu. Don't trust him." But Bali Maharaj said that, I've given my word. I have to give charity. So anyway, it's only 3 paces of land, so what are you worried about? I have to do it. And Shukracharya gave evidence. No, you see, you even if you give your word, you can go back on it. It's allowed in scripture under various circumstances. You see, in war, when it's a case of life and death, in seducing a woman, and in so many ways, lies are allowed. But Bali Maharaj, he decided that yes, I'm going to go ahead with it anyway. And so to seal the deal, as in America, at least in former times, you do it by a handshake, and that means okay, that's what we discussed. It's decided. So he will pour water from his kamandalu. So it's said, it's not in Srimad Bhagavatam, maybe in some other shastra, that Shukracharya entered the spout of the water pot as some kind of insect, and Vamana Dev entered there and poked that insect. So Shukra became blind. That story is told in Kerala a lot, where they They have a big celebration. It's a big thing down in Kerala. Pongal. Pongal is in Tamil Nadu. Onam, yeah. So that's the story they tell. So the water was poured out. He gave his word, and so then Vamana Dev took his 3 steps, and with 1 step he covered the lower planetary system, and spreading his arms also, he took the sides, everything on, and with the 2nd step, he covered the upper part, and then he said to Bali Maharaj, "You see, you're talking so big, you're going to give me so many things." He said, "I couldn't take enough, and you don't even have enough land to give me 3 steps. I covered everything with 2 steps." He expanded his body into a huge form. And so, you see, and then he said, "What is this? You see, this kind of Kshatriya, this is the cause of the downfall of the whole universe. You're supposed to be protecting Dharma, and you give your word to a Brahman, and you can't even fulfill it." And this way, tie him up. He called Garuda, tie him up. He's simply a cheater and a rascal. He deserves punishment. And meanwhile, the demons are just fuming. We went to all this trouble to conquer the heavenly planets, and this king, he's our king, so we can't turn against him. And he's not bad, but he's very good. You see, he's had a very generous spirit, but he's just been cheated by Vishnu again. So they were very unhappy. And the sister of Bali Maharaj, whose name was Ratnamala, when Vamana came, she thought, "Oh, what a nice boy, how sweet he is. What a fortunate woman must have had him as her son. I would like to suckle him from my breast." She was thinking like that. But then when she saw who it is, her motherly affection changed to the usual demoniac mood, and she thought, "Actually, I'd like to kill him. He's cheated us so badly." So then she later came as Putana, and both her wishes were fulfilled. Or at least she couldn't kill him, but at least she had a good try. So she suckled him, and she tried to kill him, but it didn't exactly work. So then Bali Maharaj was tied up and thrown down to the lower worlds, which is actually he was thrown down to Sutala, which is a better place than the heavenly kingdom. Vishnu, Vamana made it better. But Vamana said that, what are you going to do? You see, you gave 2 steps, so what am I going to do about the 3rd step? So Bali said, "Well, the only thing I've got left is myself, so you put your foot on my head," which is a symbol of self-surrender, which no Kshatriya would ever agree that anyone should. Well, for a Brahmana they might say, the Guru can do, but that's a sign of complete submission, for which Bali has become famous, for Atma Nivedanam, offering himself, completely giving himself. That is Atma Nivedanam. And the very word Bali means offering in sacrifice, just an offering in sacrifice. You throw it into the fire and then it's consumed. So this is a very sweet leela of the exchange between the Lord and his devotees. That Bali, he was so prestigious. The demons were so happy. You see, we had the universe under our control, and then Hiranyakashipu, he was somehow or other, he must have been a little distracted when he was fighting, otherwise Vishnu couldn't have defeated him, but somehow or other, by some quirk of fate, Hiranyakashipu was defeated, and here we are grinding our teeth in frustration, and just now we got it back, and now they're totally in control, nothing anyone can do, and we lost it all again. And Bali He's such a good man, didn't do anything wrong. He took the heavenly planets by fair means, but was cheated by Vishnu, and now he has to go to the lower planets. So demons were very upset, and the demigods are very happy because Vishnu had helped them. But the pleasure that the demigods got, and from having Vamana in their company as the younger brother of Indranuj, different names for Upendra, Trivikram, 3 big steps, or Urukram, big steps. There's various names of Vamana. So, but none of them could appreciate Vamana as Bali Maharaj could. He was considered the great prestige he'd got, the high esteem he was held in by all the demons just vanished because they thought he's a fool. Everything we did, everything we worked for to give him the prestige of being the king of heaven, and he lost it all. And Guru and Shukra, he advised not to do this. He told him clearly, still he did it, and we got cheated. But Bali Maharaj, in the midst of all this humiliation, simply thought, I'm so fortunate that my Lord, who I'm always thinking of, I heard from Prahlad Maharaj about him, he has come directly to punish me for my impudence and arrogance in thinking myself the Lord of the universe, when ultimately it all belongs to him anyway. And he took it for himself and relieved me of the egoism of thinking that I am the Lord of the universe. So Vamana Dev, he not only gave Bali a place to live, which although in the lower planets was better than the heavenly planets, but he said in future you can later when this Indra has passed away, you can go and be Indra. And Vamana said that not only will I give you that place, but I'm going to come and live with you. I'm going to be your doorman. I'll protect you. So Indra got the heavenly planets back, but he lost the association of Vamana Dev, because Vamana prefers to be in the company of Bali. And you may think, well, what kind of a doorman is he? Bouncer? Do you use that word in America? Bouncer? Yeah. You have to be a big...
Manager.
Manager. No, bouncer's right.
Bouncer.
No, you're right.
Bouncer. That is at the doorman of a disco club or something like that. They're big, heavy guys. So if anyone wants to cause any trouble, they bop them and bounce them out. So what you might think, what kind of a bouncer is this Vamana Dev? You might trip over him, or you don't even notice him. Just a little boy. That's why Ravana, when he was going all around the universe, bullying everyone into submission, he came to Sutala, and he was just going, and Ravana said, "Oh, stop!" And Ravana, what's this little boy? And he didn't even stop to. Vamana, with his little divine, beautiful lotus foot, gave him Ravana a kick in the backside and bounced him all the way to the other side of the universe. Didn't kill him at that time. He just waited for some time. So that's another leela. We don't know much of the leelas of Vamana, like as we know of Rama and Krishna. These two avatars, we can also in one sense call Krishna avatar. Their leelas are very well known, but Vamana we don't know so much. So there are a few thoughts about Vamana Dev. All glories to Lord Vamana Dev. One thing to be done in Gujarat is to make a big temple for Vamana Dev in Bharuch. It's actually a very special place for preaching. It's always been. People take many books. The Muslims take books, and people are very open to Krishna consciousness. We have a good group of devotees there. Things are getting developed there. So today is also the appearance day of Srila Jiva Goswami, who is a Jiva, not Bhagavan, as we've been speaking of, but whose glories are no less than those of Vamana. Srila Prabhupada in one letter wrote that he wrote that my mission or my desire, I can't remember which word he used, is to spread the glories of Jiva Goswami all over the world. And generally the Gauriya Vaishnavas are known as Rupanugas. Among ourselves, the stupid scholars call us Chaitanya Vaishnavas or something like that. They have their own term, but our term is Rupanuga, followers of Rupa Goswami. But sometimes the Gauriyas are also called Jivanugas, because Rupa Goswami and Jiva Goswami, they are non-different in their exegetical endeavors, as Srila Prabhupada wrote in one purport. Rupa Goswami, under the direct order of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, compiled so many books, many were his expositions of divine leelas. It's a supplement to Srimad Bhagavatam. What's not described in Srimad Bhagavatam, he's given more detail. Jiva Goswami supported Rupa Goswami, and the whole theology of the Gauriyas is given by Jiva Goswami in his Shat Shandharma, for which he's most famous. Although he's written many other beautiful books also. Sometimes some Prakrita Sahajya types claim that Jiva Goswami, he's a Gyani, he's not a real Bhakta, which is stupid, because he wrote so many other... he wrote poetry and the whole Leela of Krishna in his various books. But it's required that apart from writing or composing or remembering Rasik literature, or that which is concerned with relishing the pastimes of Krishna, there also be that to establish the position of Krishna. So there are two main divisions in Vaishnav literature or aesthetics, and that is Tattva and Rasa. And we find in Srimad Bhagavatam both are there. And actually they are completely intertwined. There cannot be, which the Prakrita Sahajiyas don't understand, there cannot be rasa. There cannot be rasa jnana. Tachinvatang rasa jnanam swadu swadu pade pade. The sages at Naimisharanya aspired to, at every step, taste the rasa of Srimad Bhagavatam, of Krishna's Leela. But Krishna's Leela is appreciated by, at least from this platform, by those who know the science of knowledge of Krishna. So all these subjects Jiva Goswami has meticulously covered. He's given an elaborate theology of Krishna consciousness in his Shat Shandharma, for which therefore the Gauriyas, they're also known as Jivanuga, because we have to follow what he has established as Siddhanta. That has to be accepted by all the Vaishnavas, all the Gauriyas. Srila Prabhupada said that my mission is to spread the glories of Jiva Goswami all over the world. And that means that the philosophical teachings of Jiva Goswami, the understanding of Krishna consciousness, that has to be established in the world. That will be the glory of Jiva Goswami. What he sat in Vrindavan writing on palm leaf manuscript or whatever. And nowadays if someone writes a book, then you ask, well, so many devotees are writing, but how many copies did you print? 2,000, 3,000, 5,000, 10,000? In those days, someone would write a copy, and one for themselves, and then someone else might copy it. And if a book had 10 copies, that would be like a major work. Because to copy a book, who's going to copy it? It's by hand. So if you get 10 people to copy it, that means that's a widely circulated book. It's been appreciated by some. I mean, you've got to really appreciate it to copy it, either personally or there were scribes who were Shudras by caste, just like Chandrasekhar in Varanasi. He was a scribe, so he would copy books. They were engaged for that. And books were meant for explaining. Brahmanas might explain them to a group of people. That would be like Ramayana, Srimad Bhagavatam, or specifically to disciples. So when people say that, well, why not print this book and that book? So you see, it was written by this Acharya and that Acharya, but in those days there weren't printing presses, and it wasn't that every book was meant to be widely circulated. They were meant for a specific audience. In fact, we'll find that Rupa Goswami sometimes write that I wrote this book for Sanatana Goswami. Maybe he thought that just Sanatana Goswami, he will read this. And Jiva Goswami writes that I'm writing this for Rupa Goswami. So he might have thought that, well, this book is particular. Here, I wrote this book, it's for you. And that's it for you. That's all. So, of course, Jiva Goswami was also writing, not for one or two people, but he was aware that he was establishing the proper understanding of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's teachings, because as soon as, or even in Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's presence, but especially after he passed away, there were so many different interpretations of what his cult is, what is the purpose of it, and what are the teachings of it. So the books were required. A systematic theology of Srimad Bhagavatam was required to establish what are actually the teachings. So Jiva Goswami's writings, they are accepted as authority by all Gauriya Vaishnavas. So Srila Prabhupada, who said my books are law books for the next 10,000 years, he also said that my mission is to spread the glories of Jiva Goswami all over the world. So he has within his Bhaktivedanta purports given all the teachings of Jiva Goswami, but it also behooves our society that at least some of its members should study the teachings of Jiva Goswami in detail and understand them. It's required, and for that purpose, that's one of the purposes why Gopi Pranadhana Prabhu is teaching in Govardhan. He's particularly teaching the Shandarbhas, and he's translated with commentary some of them. That work is going on. Dravida Prabhu, I think you edited? You edited Tattva Sandarbha, is it?
I did, but that's my version. That was, we tried. But now it's going on.
It's going on, the work, yeah. It's really being refined, yeah. All right, it's the morning after the feast at night. So I'll finish here. The day after. There's a film about the nuclear bomb. That film is called The Day After.
Oh, 3 years ago.
The day after, yeah. So it's the day after the feast at night. And even though it was an Ekadashi feast, it's still
damage.
So, yes, please.
I have one quick question.
You always have questions at the end of class. That's very good. An active mind.
Yeah, active, that I'll agree with you.
It's active, active. Well, that's why we have these classes, because the minds are active, and if they're not active for Bhagavat Tattva Vijnanam, then our minds will be active for the Vyasa Tirtham, a pilgrimage place for crows, literature or subject matter not connected to Krishna. Yeah.
I had a comment and a question. Just you were talking about rivalries. Another big rivalry is between the Alabama Bulldogs.
The Alabama Bulldogs
yes,
and?
the Alabama Bulldogs and...
What's that?
No, the Mississippi Bulldogs.
What sport do they play?
There are American football, they throw the ball.
American football. I remember seeing that on TV as a kid and wondering why they bothered with a ball. Why don't they just fight each other?
Well, that's rugby. Because I want to get
the Alabama Bulldogs.
No, actually, it was Arkansas Razorbacks, who they call the Hogs, and there were the Mississippi Bulldogs, who they call the Dogs. And
Hogs versus Dogs.
Yeah. I was doing Sankirtan, and our mantra was,
"Are you a hog or a dog?"
Are you a hog?
I'm a hog.
And exactly, they said, "I'm a dog." We said, "All right, I'm a hog." All that was missing was camels and asses. It was so much fun. They met 60,000 people, and 60,000 people, and when one in the stadium, and when the dogs. Mississippi Bulldogs would get a touchdown or goal, they'd be bark, 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 bark. You hear them barking. And then when the pigs, the hogs, would be so you'd have them squealing like hogs and barking like dogs. 30,000 people at a time going back and forth. It was fantastic. Honesty in packaging, But my question was this: you were talking very nicely about the just one copy, and I'm giving this for Rupert, and they were thinking it might not go further.
Well, we don't know, but
fine.
Yeah.
But then maybe you've answered my question. Is there an inference there that some of these literatures may not be meant for circulating widely, even?
Definitely. Oh, definitely.
Could you speak on that for a moment?
Well, that's a well-known story that Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, under the guidance of Bhaktivinoda Thakur, was preparing Vaishnava literature for printing. Most of it was not printed and was in danger of extinction, actually. And many of the Vaishnava literatures were extinct. The Upanishad commentaries of Baladev Vidyabhushan they were all lost, although Vidvan Gauranga told me recently that he had located them. The Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati was looking for them and from the Shamananda temple in Vrindavan, which is the obvious place to look for them because that's connected with Rasikananda, Shamananda, Baladev Vidyabhushan. They said, well, we have them, but they're all shredded. They've just become lost. So there was a big drive on to print them, and Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, he asked Bhaktivinoda Thakur, I'd like to print Gita Govinda, and Bhaktivinoda Thakur said, well, you print one for yourself. Govinda Lilamrita, maybe, yeah. Govinda Lilamrita, yeah. So, not all books are meant for everyone. As well known of the Gopi Bhava Club of Los Angeles in 1974, was it?
They're not meant for everyone, but they're meant for me. I can understand.
Well, the devotees said, well, we're just reading your books, Prabhupada, and they were specifically reading the very esoteric sections of Chaitanya Charitamrita, where Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in the mood of Radharani is pining for Krishna. And Prabhupada said, maybe my books, but it's not that everything's meant for everyone.
I was a member. I was a member.
Of the Gopi Bhava Club, that's it.
Well, I dropped out before Prabhupada came and smashed it.
So not everything is meant for... Actually, it is meant for us, but we have to come to that stage. As Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur also said. That's in Bhaktisiddhanta Vaibhava. He spoke on this... for some days he spoke... what is that? Yadi Hari Smarana Manasa Vilasa Katasu. I can't remember. Anyone remember? You won't remember that. Then he said, if you're attracted to hearing the pastimes of Hari, if you're attracted to the very sweet and then hear this beautiful poetry by Jayadev, who is favored by Saraswati. So, Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur said, we have to come to that stage. but he didn't go further. We recite Gita Govinda every day in our temple, at least one verse from it. Tavakara Kamalavare Nakam Adbhuta Sringham. First of all, Jayadev establishes who Krishna is, the 10 avatars. And then, that's right at the beginning of Gita Govinda. And then right after that comes the beautiful song, what is that? The Jaya Jaya Deva Hare, this Shrita Kamala Kucha Mandala, which for some reason which I can't understand, Prabhupada told us not to sing. And Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur was very restrictive in that.
I would tell you why.
Oh, you can tell me. I couldn't work it out. Only the first line is somewhat erotic, you could say. You can tell me. But there are 2 other verses right after that, which we won't sing anyway, which are very transcendentally erotic. Ecstatic, but not for us. So yeah, not everything is meant for everyone. There's certain scriptures or certain writings are meant for highly advanced people. In Bengali Vaishnava culture, if we see, I have a songbook. You can get it in Calcutta, Bengali songbook. It's like that thick, in small type, and it's full of songs, Vaishnava songs, mostly in Bengali, few in Sanskrit. Bengali mixed with Maithili and like that, Bengali. And they're almost all on the theme of Krishna Leela. They're developed from Gita Govinda, the theme of Gita Govinda. So they're very similar. Many of the poets write on practically the same thing, describing the form of Krishna and of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, but mostly on Krishna Leela. And Leela Kirtan is one of the 4 forms of Sang Kirtan, which Sang, S-U-N-G, Sang Kirtan, which are part of or central to traditional Gauriya Kirtan culture, in which people, they sit and someone sings the Kirtan, the Leela Kirtan. Some singers, they'll go on singing practically non-stop for 24 hours and with by heart all the songs describing the different pastimes, but mostly the Ras Leela, and especially Krishna taking Radha away and then rejecting Radha, and then Radha comes back, and this is very, very intimate stuff. But Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, he didn't allow his disciples to hear that, and he criticized others for hearing that. Although it's traditional Vaishnava culture, the songs are composed by accepted acharyas, but he said his point was that there's no one fit to hear this or to recite it. So times have changed. People were, but that's there in Bhagavatam. We're quoting that verse again and again. Tatas chanu dinam dharma. With every day, dharma, the first thing. Tatas chanu dinam dharma. No, it's Shocham Satyam Kshama Daya. Kalena Balena Rajan Nangshantayor Balang Smritihi. With the passing of every single day, dharma, then cleanliness, truthfulness, tolerance, mercy, lifespan, bodily strength, and power of memory, they decrease. So people were more pious previously. So also the Gauriya culture was for Babaji life. People would retire for Babaji life, but no one's fit for that now. So the Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati had to make a change. It's not that Babaji life is wrong, but just that people are just not fit for that. They can't follow it. It's not favourable for them anymore to attempt that. So yeah, not everything is meant for everyone. Although Srila Prabhupada did say that all the Vedic literature, especially the Vaishnava literature, should be translated in all the languages and distributed all over the world, but still it's selective, it's not for everyone. So I'm not very happy that you can walk into an ISKCON temple and many ISKCON, you'll see, in one center I went, I saw the love songs of Vidyapati. I mean, there's just a temple bookshop that anyone can walk into. Ujjvala Nilamani, They're all on sale in the bookshop, along with vegetarian dog food and cat food, in the temple shop. And then and it's all mixed up with like rock and roll, kirtan, and it's just a zoo. Take your pick. What appeals to your sense gratification in the name of Krishna consciousness? So, following Shivaram Swami's lead, I tell my disciples, if you want to read something, ask me first. Don't just read whatever you think is nice.
Thank you, Marshall.
Yeah.
I heard recently.
You heard recently. Sounds dangerous.
Sanatana Goswami or someone buried all.
Sanatana Goswami or someone. As if
You're really digging a big hole for people. Keep going.
As if there's a Sanatana Goswami loitering on every street corner.
No, Sanatana Goswami, I asked for my buried all his writings. I made like a samadhi.
Oh, the Grantha Samadhi. Yeah, that's what's called a Grantha Samadhi.
No one is studied.
Yeah, it's a mystery.
No one knows who opened it. Is it ever open?
What's the mystery, Marsh? What's in it, or who did it, or what? I don't.
Everything about it. It seems. There's a story that the Goswamis put their books there.
The thing is, the main point is that there are many that are lost. It said that Jiva Goswami wrote 100,000 verses. We don't have 100,000.
Well, it says 100,000 granthas.
Granthas.
Yeah.
It's still, if you count it up, it's a lot. But
It's a lot. Yeah, 100,000 granthas, which means can mean verses. Yeah.
Units.
Yeah.
Granthas.
Oh yeah, if you took it as books, then it's really
Yeah.
about 100,000 verses. Yeah, it's a lot. The Srimad Bhagavatam's 18,000, approximately. But that could be also approximate, just like you find in South India so many temples, 1,000-pillar temples, and the actual number is 700 or 800 or maybe 1,200.
Talk approximate. What about a lack of names?
Yeah.
Or 3 lakhs.
Or Prakrita Rasa Shatadushini.
Around.
It's approximate. So Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
All glories to Sri Vamana Dev.
Yeah.